Imagine the nightmare of the ocean, a gray shadow, a silent and agile predator with rows of shark teeth. The image of the shark is an icon of fear and power, rooted in our imagination. But the true story of this animal is not about the fear it inspires, it is about its survival. What few people know is that the history of the shark is older than much of the life we know on land. When the first terrestrial plants had not yet developed enough to create forests, when grass was a futuristic concept and the planet was a rocky desert without trees, the shark was already there, dominating the seas. It is not just a predator, but a ghost from the past, or survivor of long-forgotten eras who witnessed the rise and fall of countless empires of nature. This is the story of how the perfect predator survived no less than 5 mass extinctions. To find the true origin of the shark, we must go back to an unimaginable time, 450 million years ago, in the Ordovician period. The world was unrecognizable. Life on land barely existed, with some primitive plants and fungi. The ocean, however, was a cauldron of life. But it was not a sea of sharks as we know them. The first sharks, like Cladocellaceae, did not have the perfect anatomy of today. They were smaller, with stiffer fins, and did not have the bony skeleton of fish, but rather one of cartilage. They were predators, yes, but they were still in their early stages, and the ocean was about to test their resilience in a brutal way. What seemed like a disadvantage, the absence of a bony skeleton, actually proved to be an evolutionary stroke of genius. Cartilage is lighter and more flexible than bone, which allowed sharks to move faster and with more agility in the water. This was crucial for their survival. But the feature that most defines the shark, the one that made it the top predator for millions of years, is in its mouth. The ability to replace entire rows of teeth, tens of thousands of times throughout its life, meant they never had to stop hunting because of broken teeth. It was a perfect weapon factory, always ready for combat. With their adaptations underway, sharks faced their first major test around 443 million years ago, during the Ordovician-Silurian extinction. A global glaciation covered the planet with ice, and sea levels dropped dramatically, wiping out 85% of all marine life. Sharks, however, managed to get through this catastrophe. Their adaptability to changes in temperature and the ability to find new food sources in deeper or shallower waters helped them survive, while countless other species disappeared forever. The Devonian period, about 419 to 359 million years ago, was the age of fishes. The ocean was an incredibly diverse ecosystem, and sharks were thriving. Bizarre and incredible species emerged, such as the Stethocanthus, with its anvil of spines on its back. This era of diversification showed how successful sharks had become. They evolved into a variety of shapes and sizes, dominating the marine food chains. But this prosperity would not last forever. The greatest catastrophe in Earth's history was about to happen. The Permian-Triassic extinction, 252 million years ago, wiped out about 96% of all marine life. The event was so devastating that it is known as the Great Dying. What could have caused this mass annihilation? It is believed to have been a combination of massive volcanism, which heated the planet and made the oceans acidic.
Most marine creatures were decimated, but the shark once again went through hell. Its resistance to extreme environmental changes and its ability to feed on almost anything that remained ensured its survival. With the great dying in the past, the world began to heal. On the continent, dinosaurs were emerging, ready to dominate the land. In the ocean, sharks recovered and adapted to a new environment, coexisting with giants like Ichthyosaurus and Plesiosaurus. They survived 2 more minor extinctions at the end of the Triassic and the end of the Jurassic, showing that their formula for survival was an undeniable success, even as life on land was undergoing a revolution. In the Cenozoic era, after the fall of the dinosaurs, sharks had their golden age. The ocean was filled with whales and other large marine mammals, and one predator in particular grew to take advantage of this bounty: the Otodotus Megalodon. At up to 18 meters long and with jaws that could crush a car, Megalodon became the largest predator that ever lived. It was not just a shark, it was a force of nature, a symbol of the maximum potential of a lineage that dominated the oceans for hundreds of millions of years. 66 million years ago, Earth was hit by an asteroid and darkness covered the planet. It was the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction. While most dinosaurs were wiped out, sharks once again proved their resilience. Their ability to live in deep waters where the effects of the impact were less severe, and their diversified diet allowed them to survive the chaos. Unlike other creatures, they did not disappear. They simply adapted, ready to take control of the ocean in the new world that was forming. The reign of Megalodon did not last forever. Around 3.6 million years ago, with global cooling and the disappearance of its favorite prey, the Titan vanished. But its extinction did not mean the end of the shark lineage. On the contrary, with the largest predator out of the picture, other smaller and more agile species, such as the great white shark, were able to evolve and thrive. The fall of the giant paved the way for the diversity we know today, proving that the shark's true strength was not in its size, but in its ability to adapt. So, what is the secret to this extraordinary longevity? The answer lies in a perfect combination of factors. Their cold-blooded physiology allows them to survive on little food. Their reproductive system, which varies from egg-laying species to those that give birth to live young, ensures the continuity of the lineage. Their light and flexible cartilage skeleton makes them efficient hunters. But above all, the secret is adaptability. They don't need to be the fastest or strongest creature. They need to be the creature that can survive any change. Sharks have dominated the oceans for almost 500 million years. They have survived massive volcanism, global glaciations, and asteroid impacts. They saw dinosaurs born and disappear. They are, without a doubt, the most successful predators in the history of Earth. But the greatest threat they have ever faced has not come from nature. Today, overfishing, pollution, and habitat destruction are putting these ancestral survivors at risk. The question now is not whether they can survive a new mass extinction, but whether they can survive us.